Hey everyone, I'm Timmy Scott, and if you're new here, welcome. For my returning visitors, welcome back. Yes, back at you again with another Jehovah's Witness video. I actually wanted to write a letter, or actually read it anyway, and as you can tell by the title of this video, obviously, this is to my Jehovah's Witness family and friends who have shunned me. Now, I've actually wanted to make this video before. I just wanted to feel comfortable enough in my own skin, how and what to say, and just, well, say it, because, yeah, that's pretty much all I got, really. So, again, I just wanted to feel comfortable enough to just read this to anyone who's watching this. Obviously, I know my family and friends back home, or back in Illinois anyway, like to stalk and watch my videos, so I'll just read this letter and get a little more deep about what I went through for those who, again, may be new here. So, with that in mind, let's get into it. I've talked about in my previous videos that I couldn't take not being treated like a human being and left my dad's house. A lot of us ex-Jehovah's Witnesses know what that feels like by our parents, that are Jehovah's Witnesses, at least still for the parents anyway. He didn't want to understand how it made me feel when I didn't want to live by his rules anymore. And this even went as far as past beyond Jehovah's Witnesses. He just wanted to keep treating me like a kid. Even more so the older I got. And a lot of us are familiar with, know that feeling that, for the ex-Jehovah's Witnesses watching this, know the feeling of when our parents put a lot of pressure onto us because we're getting spiritually weak, because the older we're getting, the more we're able to make decisions for ourselves and stuff like that. They use that as a guilt and manipulation tactic on us, because that's what they're trained to do. They're trained to guilt and manipulate our children, which is us, to stay in the cult that they're in as hard as they can. Even when we're making decisions on what we want to believe, obviously. So, that's just pretty much what I wanted to say. And these were petty rules, too. They really were. There's no denying that when I was actually moving out by force, I was really nervous. I made statements like this sort of here and there before, that I was physically nervous, like thinking to myself, like, oh my god, I'm actually leaving my family and friends behind. I'm leaving all this behind for my own self. Sorry, no filter there. I really did want to get far away from my dad as much as possible. Ever since I lived with my dad at a young age, I would ask people around if I could live with them. I couldn't explain why, because of how scared I was growing up of him. I was trapped. I didn't know if I would forever get to leave. I mean, we all know that saying, be careful what you wish for. Well, at a really young age, when I thought I had a good relationship with my dad before I started getting older and started seeing the side of him that most people didn't, I thought living with him would be the best thing ever. And unfortunately, that backfired. Because, again, as I've said before, we just never had a good relationship. Especially because of the indoctrination that most of my family, who are still Jehovah's Witnesses, are a part of. And just in general, we never really had a good relationship. I was trapped. I didn't know if I would forever get to leave. It sucks I made that choice, but it was for my health, both emotionally and physically. Growing up, I was always getting sick, no matter what season. I just never understood why. One of the worst things I used to get was migraines as a kid. Those were really bad, but I really don't remember much. I probably was getting them around like 5 or 6, so I don't have much of a memory of getting them all the time. But now that I'm older, they're kind of coming back, unfortunately. But anyway, doesn't matter. When I eventually did leave, it was at the age of 22. The sickness did eventually die out, and it made me look back, realizing it was because of my parents. No matter how hard they tried, I was always getting sick. I didn't like it, but I couldn't help it. Another major reason why I was getting really sick, every chance it showed up was because of all the stress added to it. Being born and raised in a cult didn't help, especially if you have a step family you didn't get along to begin with. My stepmom hated my older brother and me. She always found a way to make us miserable. She couldn't hurt us, but having conflict was her favorite thing to do. My dad told me her dad treated her terribly, but when we fought, he always took her side. It made me feel like shit. Now, there were some occasions where my dad took my side instead, but he always defended her more than me, which shouldn't even be a thing, but that's just how growing up as a Jehovah's Witness works, unfortunately. And a lot of you ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, if you have a step family, you can leave them in the comments, would know what that felt like. There were some good moments that I had with my family, but all those memories blocked it out after I had decided to leave. It really did. Unfortunately, there's some memories, though, that I look back and be like, oh, that was a good moment, but it didn't really last very long. I guess that's, to me anyway, I think that's just unfortunately part of my post-traumatic stress disorder from it, which, surprisingly enough, I've come across some ex-Jehovah's Witnesses who like to smoke weed right after they leave, which is a good thing, actually, because it helps them from where we came from, honestly. I mean, again, I don't smoke as much as I used to now than compared to when I lived in Chicago, but I support it all the way because it helps, especially with growing up in a religious cult like that. So, yeah. Anyway, after I left my Jehovah's Witness parents, I kept thinking in my head that I could still talk to them without fighting. But I was just in denial about it. I really was, unfortunately, because I thought that there'd still be something there. But unfortunately, it was just always somehow leading into a fight. Even some of my friends who are not religious told me to keep my distance from them just from the things I've told them. They really have. I wish I had the technology or I'm really tech savvy and I can leave screenshots of conversations and, well, yeah. Anyway, doesn't matter. I came out to one of my brothers. I have half siblings, so these are all stemming from my dad's side. I have 5 siblings, or 5 half siblings. 1 first half sister, 2 half brothers that are all connected, and 2 sisters that are separated from different mothers, but obviously again by the same father of us. And my 2 biological siblings, my older sister and my older brother, all much older than I am. But anyway, he says that he wishes I was straight. This was coming from someone who isn't a Jehovah's Witness, but that's part of the culture I was a part of, just like any other religion, but again, for me anyway. It's kind of funny but sad my family looked at me as the black sheep. I have a question to ask. If any of you may be watching this, which I'm sure most of you are, is giving up not talking to your child, family, or friends really worth it? Believing in something knowing that it will never happen? Because if it is, that's guilt and manipulation. To be honest, as I mentioned before, I'm glad I left when I did. Sometimes I forget to remind myself that I'm grateful that I got away from all the true colors and bullshit in the area that I lived in. Shunning isn't even in the Bible. It's just a made-up rule that these headmen at the Watchtower made up on their own. It's kind of sad that these people who claim they're one of Jehovah's Witnesses don't act like it. They could trick people who they come in contact with, but behind the screen, they attack their ex-members and say hateful things. And for my ex-Jehovah's Witness friends who come up to defend me when a Jehovah's Witness is present, thank you. Keep doing what you're doing because it really does make me feel good seeing you guys defend me and help me just like I would do for you guys. So I just wanted to throw that out there. That's not leading a good example at all. That is poor communication skills. But that's all being taught by the Watchtower headmen themselves. And we all know this for a fact. I understand why they act the way they do. I really do. It's sad, like I said. They will never understand they're being told to live a certain way. Give up talking to family and friends for something that's never going to happen. If you ever think of leaving a cult like the Jehovah's Witnesses, talk to someone you could count on and rely on. I may make a video on that down the road. I really will, because I looked something up on Wicca about it, and I thought to myself, you know what, this would make a good video down the road one day. So, yeah, be on the lookout for that one. So that's pretty much what I wanted to write. It all just kind of like came to mind, what I felt comfortable talking about and just sharing a little more deep about it. And I know a lot of us have obviously gone through this, so this is, again, a letter I just wanted to write because I felt like this is appropriate now and I'm comfortable with it. So, anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this. Leave a comment. I know my ex-Jehovah's Witness friends will get involved. Let's show some love and support to each other. Help each other out. If you're watching this, help each other out. Talk about it. I don't know. Anything, really. Hit the red subscribe button down below. Takes 3 seconds of your time if you have a YouTube channel. I'm almost at 200 subscribers, so share this channel around as much as you can, which I know a lot of you do, and still amazes me till this day. Hit that like button for you to turn to blue, and not sure what else I got to say, but other than that, I don't know what else I got, but in the meantime, I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.